Hello. Hello, hello. This is the new Caribou, the Honorable Sir David, Emperor of Salt Lake City, Sultan of Utah, spiritual advisor to questioning Mormons, the Bard extraordinaire, Supreme Being, Alpha and Omega, and to one of my faithful followers, Kojak. Kojak. Half of my audience wasn't even born when Kojak was on TV. I never watched Kojak. I hated the guy. He had bald hair. No one had bald hair back then. Bald head. But this guy wants me to say Kojak in my name. And I'm going to, he said, throw me a bone. Well, it doesn't cost me anything, so I threw him a bone. But to me, putting Kojak next to Alpha and Omega is like Dave's pantyhose and welding shop. They don't go together. Most girls will not go to a welding shop to buy pantyhose. And you know what's funny? That dated me. That dated me. They don't wear pantyhose anymore. Most of them don't even wear panties. Where was I? Where was I when these standards were there? You know, the girls were burkas when I was in 7th grade. Damn them. Anyway, you know, I just wanted to tell you something I think, looking back, was funny. Most of you won't. Most of you go, this old guy, damn, and you'll drop me as a subscriber. I know you tease me that way. You go on, and then 2 days later go, I just wanted to see him happy. Now he's sad. So anyway, I have to tell you, when I was in 7th grade, we had a dance at school. I was raised in Ojai, California, and I was raised middle class. You know, we had a car. Damn. And that reminds me of my father. It's bipolar. I haven't taken my meds today. I'm off on another tangent here. But in my mind, it's connected. We lived on a hill. And my dad was bipolar. I didn't know that in those days. I was just a kid. And he would say, David, Sir Bard, Supreme Being. I said, yes, Dad. He says, oh, I'm going to go to work. I need a push. I'm so embarrassed now, but I thought most of the boys got out of bed in the morning and pushed the car to get their dad to get it started to get his ass to work. So we would push. Now, I was a pretty clever kid. I know when you're pushing a car, you push it straight. When the car goes around the corner, you let the bumpers go. You don't hold on to each other, because the tail lights and the headlights and all the chrome comes off the back of the car being pushed. So I told my dad, I said, listen, bipolar dad, I don't see the other kids pushing the cars in the morning. You have to be like everybody else? I said, I guess not. You're not. And I want to be like you, Dad. So, I said, Dad, when we push cars, we're putting dents in the bumpers. We're tearing out headlights, tail lights. You know, there's all kinds of problems. I'll take care of that. You just wake up and push. I go, okay. So the next day, I wake up. He goes, David, Sir Bard, get out here. I need a push. So my job to be the pusher. In his job, we used to call it popping the clutch. Or we call it a bump start when I was driving buses. And buses are very easy because they're diesels. You can bump start a diesel, you know, walking, it'll bump start. But anyway, I went out to the car. Now, my dad had some unusual taste in his life. One of them was a really bitter taste called Mormonism. But we had a car. I remember, I'm changing now, we had a truck. He bought a federal truck. Now, this is not the United States government truck. This is a federal truck. It was a truck made out of wood. It was made out of wood. It never started. It never ran But the son of a bitch sat in our garage for years and years until we finally gave it up. Well, the next habit he got was the car. He bought a Nash, N-A-S-H. And again, you're all too young. You don't remember this shit, which is good, because it was a piece of shit car. It looked like a, I guess a sow bug. It just had a great big back to it, and it had no design to it at all. And we rode around in a Nash, and I was too young to be embarrassed in those days. I just thought everybody else that had new cars were just show-offs. The Nash was bitching because it had a back window in it, and the back of the back seat was on a hinge, and you could bring it up and hook it where you hang clothes. And you had a bunk bed. For the Mormons, it was pre-van. It was pre-van days. We had so damn many kids. We had 5. And when we went for a ride in the Nash, the back of the seat would come up, and the kids, some would climb on the floor, some would go in the middle on the seat, and then I'd get up on the top one so I could look out the back window. In those days, there were no laws. Kids could be in the back window. We didn't have seat belts. Hell, you could ride on the outside of a car, and you know, if you're 15 and you looked old enough, you could drive without a license. Well, anyway, I come out the next morning, and I'm ready to push Dad. Now, this was one of our other great cars. It was a Hudson Rambler. Now, Hudson was a terrible car company way back before my time, the 40s. But Hudson was fast. You had a Hudson Hornet. You had the fastest car on the road. Well, Hudson went bankrupt, and Nash Rambler was going bankrupt. So the two of them got together like two bipolar people and said, let's build a car. Neither one could build a car, but they put them together. So my dad, being bipolar, thought it might be a good car. So he buys a pink and white. It was a two-tone car. A pink and white Hudson Rambler. Now, I looked around the neighborhood. I didn't see any other cars that looked like our cars. But I thought my dad was clever. He was smarter than everybody else. So I walk around to the front of the car that I push with. It's the Hudson Rambler. And he bought another Rambler. The Rambler is the one I pushed with the Hudson Rambler. So I walk around the front of the car and I go, hey, you bought an accessory, Dad. He says, I did. I don't want any more broken tail lights and headlights. It doesn't cost us money because we don't fix them, but we could get a ticket. Hey, okay. So I said, where did you get this tire that you tied on the front of the car? It's your spare tire on your car. Oh, shit. Now, I don't have a spare tire on my car, and it's hooked to the grill of the pink and white Hudson Rambler. And Dad says, go ahead, give me a good push, and you can hold on to me around the curves because that tire will buffer. So, we pushed for years with that tire. Then we had to have a retread on it because it wore out. We pushed so many times. So, anyway, that was my dad. Now, you can see I'm more sane than he was. Well, you don't see him, so I can't, I'm bearing you my testimony. I'm more sane. Well, we had this dance in 7th grade, and I wanted to go. I like the girls. I still like the girls. There's something about girls I like. I haven't figured out what it is yet. But anyway, I was going to the dance, and we had one bathroom and 5 kids and 2 adults. So there were 7 of us with one bathroom, and we were grateful. Every other damn house had 2 and 3 bathrooms, but no, the Mormon house, we had one bathroom, and you know, you would take a number and stand in the hall. Well, I was getting ready for the big night out at Nordoff was the name of my, well, that was my high school. Matilahaw. That's the name. It was an Indian word. Like how. It was how Matilahaw. The junior high. And I wanted to look cool. Now, James Bond movies had just come out by the time I was in 7th grade. And I had a little fantasy. No, it was a big fantasy that I was really James Bond that the next time the Bond movie came out, they'd come looking for me. And I wanted to look really extra sharp this night because who knows, I always had a little girlfriend and wanted to make sure she thought I was cool. Nothing could make me cool, but I tried. So I bought this white dinner coat. Now that's cool for a 7th grader. No, it didn't look like a cook in the temple with the temple hat, the baker's hat, and the robes. No, this was a white dinner coat. It looked like James Bond. I had black hair and white and delightsome. So anyway, I'm in the bathtub, and in the old days, in the bathrooms, we had electric heaters, and what they were is shit, when I think about it now, I cringe. They were electrical wires inside the wall, inside of a metal cabinet, and when you turned it on, all of the wires turned red, and it was hot as hell. And if that didn't cause a fire, you could find some other way to start a fire. And when you're in the bathtub, you know, most of us like to have that heat. Nowadays, they have a heat lamp, but we had a heat fire. You better not touch that son of a gun. If you're wet, that's raw electricity going through those wires. So, well, I brought my clothes in. I'm going to get dressed. Hung my coat up, taking a bath, and pretty soon, you know, I'm looking around the bathroom, and I see, and I smell smoke. Smoke? What the hell is smoke doing in the bathroom? So I jump out of the tub, wet as, you know, a person can be naked in the tub, and I run over to the little electric heater where I had hung my coat on the wall, but too close to the heater. The heater had my coat on fire. Oh, damn! I just paid for this coat. I wanted a white dinner jacket tonight. So I took it off the wall. Not the heater. I should have taken the heater off the wall, but I took the coat off. And the cuffs, the bottom of the cuffs, were all black. Now, I like black and white. I have black cars and white cars, so I always like black. I had a black 57 Chevy, but a black arms on a white dinner jacket, that fad had not come into American society, or even Mormon society at that point. So I yelled and called my mom, and, Mom, my jacket's black. So she comes in and goes, shit, you dumb shit. You burned your new jacket. I said, that's not new information, Mom. I'm looking for a little emotional support here. She says, well, it's ruined. You're just going to have to throw it away. Now, being bipolar, which I didn't know I was, I didn't know I was bipolar till I was 43. That's when I got diagnosed. So before 43, I don't remember too much. But anyway, I said, hell, I ain't wasting this money. She says, what are you going to do? And I said, well, I'm going to cut the black off. You know, well, isn't that going to make the arms a little short, David? I'm starting a new fad. And she says, well, what is it? Looking like hell? I said, no. I'm going to have a 3/4 length sleeve white dinner jacket. She looked at me, and you know, my mom, at this point in my life, I was 12 or 13, there wasn't any reason to say anything because she knew I was an asshole and that I was going to do it anyway, so she just walked out of the room laughing and laughing. Well, I went and got the scissors, and I stood there and I cut 4 or 5 inches off the bottom of each sleeve. Now, they weren't even, and I don't think that mattered because no one was looking at that, whether the sleeves were even. And hell, I wore it. I wore it. Now, I didn't have any, and I don't have any now, friends. No one wants to be around me. It never occurred to me they thought that that jacket was stupid. When I walked into the 7th grade dance with that jacket, everyone was looking at me, and I thought, well, they're looking because it's like James Bond. I got something new here, and none of them have it. Well, I waited 2 or 3 years, and that fad never caught on. Now I look back and go, shit, they were looking at me because it looked stupid. Revelation, the Mormon Church revelation. It did look stupid, but not at the time. And my girlfriend, she didn't want to dance with me, but hell, I thought, you know, I'd find another girlfriend. But I couldn't. all of them would run when I came running with the jacket and ask them, do you want to dance? And they go, hell no! Get away from me!